Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and once again it is time for a deadlift day, but a quick reminder for those of you who watch these videos, please remember to click like down below, be greatly appreciated. And I just did a quick ramp up, got up to 585, which is just a good solid training max. It's above 90%, and pulled it, held it at the top, set it down under control. Real easy training max. And also people will ask me on occasion, what do you do for warm-ups? So on deadlift day, I don't. I do a reverse hyper, right? It's set up over there. I do a 10 rep set. I come over and I pull 405 for one rep, and then I start recording. So that was pretty straightforward. I decided I wanted to do, because I really need to work on bringing my quads back up, I'm doing a narrow stance belt squat, going as deep as I can, ass to grass, narrow stance. And I did 5 for the first one. I'm like, probably too heavy. I need to strip that down and do some 10s. Then I decided to work in some pull-ups between as a superset. And I'm taking most of these to a dead hang for me and just knocked out 6 reps. So for those curious, what I've noticed when I've been doing my dead hangs lately, what feels best on my shoulders is if I don't look at the bar. I just raise my arms straight up to whatever my normal shoulder width overhead is, like where my arms just naturally go, and that's where I grip the bar. Okay, that also gives a pretty long range of motion, which makes the exercise inefficient from a strength perspective, but from a hypertrophy perspective, very, very good. So I just knocked out 3 sets of 6 on those. I do want to get stronger at pull-ups again. I've been talking about that for just a little bit, but I need to make sure my shoulders are healthy. And I think approaching them in that manner is going to be best for my shoulder health, because my shoulders feel fine after that, right? They feel good. And also keeping my chest up a bit, right? Keeping the chest up. Taking them to a dead hang so that there's nothing bouncing out of the bottom, not trying to use a stretch reflex. That's what gets me into a lot of trouble with my shoulders. And just knock these out. I feel like they'll carry over very well to my deadlift. And they always do. Another reason I put the normal barbell rows back in on my upper days. It gives good deadlift carryover. All right, I ended up doing 3 sets of 10 after the 5 rep set on these belt squats. And again, making these as quad focused as I possibly can. And I've also noticed, and I think one reason my squat went down is I've lost quad size. But I also think that holding onto the handles on the belt squat for all those months made me lose quad size. It really makes it easy to make the lift easiest where you're at the point where the muscle is lengthened with the greatest mechanical tension on the quads. Also the point where we get the most hypertrophy. If we're shortchanging that, what happens? We don't grow. Or in my case, I definitely lost size. So I have to get those quads back. I'm not going to be able to squat an impressive weight again until my quads come back up. Okay. I'm actually finding sub 500 pound squats really, really, really heavy. You guys have seen me hit 605 before. Again, slightly high on a cambered bar. A couple years ago now at this point. All right, this is ridiculous. I've got to get my quads back up. And I am going to get the quads back up. Now, what I will factor in is that I recently added in a lot more list cardio. I'm doing up to 2 hours a day of just slow lists. Again, just for overall health, for benefits, calorie burn, nutrient partitioning, all that stuff. So I've been doing that. That is probably a slight factor, but the biggest factor has been reduction in quad size. Hey, because it's definitely not my back. You guys see me deadlift over 600. Look at that 585. You really think my back can't easily support 585? All right. Not to say that more back work won't help. I just don't feel like that's my limit. I think it really is quads. And I'm debating if I want to force myself to squat a little bit high bar. I may go back and forth. I legitimately might go back and forth between, the what people call high bar versus low bar. I call it stance width, Olympic squatting versus power squatting. I may play with both, just like I've been playing around with the bench grips. It wouldn't be a bad idea for my max work, and kind of see where everything hits as far as the ability to hit depth, overall strength, all that stuff. Be worth experimenting with, and just focus on those quads. I've got to bring the quads back up. And today I did skip on the band work. I will probably do it on Monday, but I may not need to. As long as I build volume on those belt squats, I think I'm okay. But got to get the quads up. But overall volume today I felt was decent. I'm counting the deadlift as a set for everything. All right. I think for volume purposes, because of the way that pre-activates anyways, I can count it as a set for, posterior chain and even quads. So I ended up doing 4 sets of belt squats plus that. It puts me in, I'll count it as 5. I will build the belt squats back up, right? With the rep work here, I want to build it back up, which again, we're going to do. Glute ham raises, we ended up doing 3 sets of 10. And then I just did a bunch of sets of reverse hyperextensions at the end. I almost lost count. I just want to make sure I get over 5. And I wasn't sure whether I got 6 or 7 until I looked at the footage. And sure enough, I did 7 sets. Keeping in mind, I replicate one of these sets for my initial, really is my only warm-up. I tend to do that on my lower body days. And I also think, as far as posterior chain goes, I don't need a lot of sets of the glute ham raises. They're so effective. So I think I may just keep working on more and more reverse hypers. I might even do some reverse hypers on off days. Take the volume way up on these because they're restorative. That'll give me any extra posterior chain development I do need. Because you guys have seen me do 20 sets a week of these before, right, on camera. I've built up to that before, right? 10 sets of 10 on both lower days. Done that previously. It wouldn't be a bad idea to do this for a lot of my real volume. Everything else is kept on that lower optimal end. The low end of the optimal range. But even if we don't count the deadlift, we still got 10 total posterior chain sets today. Because 3 glute ham raises, 7 reverse hypers. Quads got the least work, but I'm going to continue to build those up. I just need to make sure the posterior chain is up to speed with them. And I think it is, again, looking at what I deadlift versus what I squat, the disparity's gotten larger and larger and larger, which would suggest that my interior is much stronger. Because keeping in mind, I've had periods of time where I was squatting, within 5% of what I deadlifted. I have been there before. So again, my quads were a lot bigger. It's definitely a factor. And I do want to get back under the straight bar now that my shoulder's so good. I think it's time to do most of my work under a straight bar again. And for variations, I can simply change my stance with. Right? Absolutely doable. But very happy with today's workout. Everything went well. Everything felt good. So I hope it has been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.